Hey, good morning to everybody. It's Daryl here, aka Artist and Recovery. And once again, I'm on the treadmill. And I really truly believe that exercise increases blood flow to the brain. Because when I'm on the treadmill or working out, doing pull-ups or push-ups or whatever, is when I get the ideas for some of my best videos, some of the best ideas for videos. And also, a lot of memories come back to back when I was using. So I get these ideas about videos that I can make. You know, you got to remember, I used from the time I was in my mid-teens till I was 40 years old. You know, 2.5 decades. So there's stuff, and I've been clean for 18 and a half years, 18 years and 9 months now. Since October 23rd, 2006, I've been clean. So that's a lot of time, you know, and I've forgotten a lot of bizarre stuff that's happened. And this morning, you know, I was watching, I think it was Jail, the reality TV show. And there was Ladies of the Night on there. And I started thinking back, and I actually remembered an incredibly embarrassing thing to happen to me. The reason I'm making this video is to emphasize that recovery is possible. In no way do I condone, or no way am I trying to glorify drugs or drug use. The point of this video is that my life is so much better now and that recovery is possible. That being said, let's move on to this memory. This had to be, I got clean in 2006. I would say this was probably about 2002, 2003. And I was cross-addicted at this point. I was picking up, I had just gotten a check. I think I was out on workman's comp from having back surgeries. So I was getting quite a few insurance checks every week and just pissing them all away. And I had just gotten, I think, 2 checks. And I picked up both of my substances, rock and H. Let's just leave it at that. And I was at a supermarket down like in the hood, down the rough section of town, Waterbury, Connecticut. And this was like 30 years ago, so I don't remember exactly why I was buying it there, but that's where I was. And I picked up the first thing, and I was working on the rock. And I just picked it up, and I was walking back to my car in the parking lot, and a black woman. This is the weird part. I don't know how she singled me out. I really must have looked like I was up to no good. It was a black woman, probably a little older than me. I was probably 35 at the time, so she was probably about 40. And she comes up to me in the parking lot, fairly good looking, kind of lean, skinny. You know, looks like looks like she might be a lady of the night. And she came right up to me. She started walking next to me. And this, I swear in the Holy Bible, this is what she says to me. She says, I love to get naked and I love to party. Swear to God. Swear to God, man. You know, and I still wonder why, or you know, why she picked me out. So, you know, she ended up, obviously, I ended up saying, come on, get in my car. And she jumped in the car. And I'll just kind of cut over some of this. We went back to my place, and I just ripped through this stuff. I remember her actually saying to me, "Slow down, you know, you're gonna OD or something." You know, she was saying this to me, you know, because I was just ripping through it as I usually did when I got that amount of money, and I had to go re-up, and I left her in my apartment. You know, this kind of stuff I used to do. Looking back, I didn't even know her name. Just met her in a parking lot, and I was going to leave her in my apartment, which I did. So I made a phone call and took like a 15-minute ride back down to the city to re-up, and then 50 minutes back. So I was going for about 45 minutes. And I get back, and she's gone. My Xbox is gone. I think I had a phone answering machine that was gone back then. And my TV was gone. My smaller TV, the bigger TV, she probably couldn't carry out of the house. I didn't call the cops because I was tweaked by Jesus. And I asked my neighbors if they saw anything, and they said right after I left they saw a conversion van pull up with two other women. It was 3 black women total that were at my house while I was gone. So, I'm mad. I'm angry as hell. But, I still have more stuff. So I just go back to using. Didn't call the cops or anything. This is what I noticed, though. I noticed that my toilet was backed up. So I just figured, like how a toilet usually backs up. And I tried using a plunger the next day. Couldn't get it to the blockage out. So I ended up asking my landlord to come up. And my landlord was actually a plumber. He was probably about 65 years old at the time. And he was a retired plumber. He had done good, made a lot of money. He was known in the town. He was a good plumber. So I asked him if he could fix it. And I was out while he was doing this. And I came back. And I remember meeting him in the kitchen. And he says to me, "Daryl, what the hell is this doing in your pipes?" And he holds up a black toy, a rubber toy that's shaped like a man's unit, probably about this long, probably about 10 inches, 9 inches, about 8 inches long. And I just freeze. All right. So obviously, I don't know if this woman and her friends intentionally did this to me or not, but they put this rubber phallic toy in my toilet and flushed it. And here's where it gets really weird. Weirder. My landlord said, "Daryl, what is this? Is this this?" He thought it was the leg or an arm of a doll, because it was kind of rounded. It wasn't like the toys today where it looks, it's a very, it wasn't a very sharp replica. It was just kind of rounded. It was very round. So it just had this shape, the very basic shape of what it was intended to be. And so my landlord says, Daryl, what would you be doing with a black little girl's black doll? I said to him, I don't know, it must have been my, I was quick at lies. So I just said, it must have been my ex-girlfriend, that damn chick, she does all sorts of weird stuff. And so my landlord truly believed that it was a part, like a leg or an arm of a large plastic doll that kids play with. A black doll. She thought it was an arm or a leg. And I didn't question him. I was just thankful for the whole thing to go away. Like I said, the point of this is to emphasize, looking back, I got to ask myself, there were so many stupid, ridiculous, short-sighted things I did that day. Bringing somebody home I didn't know, leaving in my house, the plumbing getting backed up, and so my landlord just thought that's what it was, and he believed that my ex-girlfriend must have flushed her kid's doll down the toilet for some reason, and I don't think he honestly didn't know what it was. He really didn't. He was older at the time, and like I said, it was kind of rounded, and it didn't have the exact shape. It didn't have all the details. So I guess it looked like the thigh or the calf, maybe the hip joint of a doll's leg. And I did not question him. I did not. I just said, "Oh yeah, that's what it must be." I could kind of laugh a little bit at it now, but I can't believe I lived life like that. My life is so much better nowadays. I enjoy working. I love what I do, the painting, the creating videos. I'm tight with my family. Everything I do is legal. I don't have to lie about anything. There's nothing I do, no place I go, nothing I say or do that I have to lie about nowadays. I could actually film my entire day, every minute of it, and show it to you guys. That's as boring as that sounds. You know, there's nothing I do nowadays that I have to lie about. And it's a great way to live life. It's much better. Recovery is possible. Have a good Monday.